Three, two, one. All right, welcome to the Insight Cafe. I'm your host, 𝗔𝗯𝗶𝗰𝗵, and today, I have one of my favorite people, Stef Cybichowski. Got that right. My man Stef is a dad, a musician, a professional master transformative coach, trainer, and speaker. And I met Stef on Supercoach Academy, which is run by 𝗍𝗁. And Stef's been on the faculty of that for 6 years. And Stef is incredible. He's been one of my favorite mentors. And today, I'm so lucky to have him on the show because we're gonna talk all about worry. Because I realize that even to the best of my abilities, I still fall trap to worry and insecurity and doubt, fear. And I just think it would be a really helpful thing to explore. So welcome to the show, Stef.
Bless you, 𝗔𝗯𝗶𝗃𝗁. I thank you for the lovely introduction, and you are an amazing guy. You have no idea how much you inspire me. You know, you are very cool, and you do some amazing things, and you transform people's lives. And I'm in awe of everything you've done. Such a short period of time. I'm like 8 years in, and I look at how far you've come in just a couple of years, and I'm awestruck. I really am. So I'm really I always enjoy chatting to you. We have so much fun.
Oh, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I think I definitely needed to hear that, and I'll take that. Thank you. And I really appreciate that. And I'm really lucky. I think I have great people on my journey like you and Fiona and 𝗍𝗁 to really stand on your shoulders. I really credit you guys on the things I've done. And that's a large part of this podcast, actually, is to give back to people who might not have had the opportunity I have had on Supercoach Academy or through connections to have these conversations, which are so transformative and so powerful. So to kick us off and spread some of that Stef magic over YouTube and econ magic, so I'll start. I think to me, in this conversation, inside a conversation in three principles, I think intellectually I get it. Like worry is made up of my own thinking, and I can see that while intellectually I get it's not real, like I understand I'm projecting fears and doubts into the future and it looks really scary. But man, sometimes it looks really real to me. And I'd love for you to just share what's been your experience of worry, or how do you see worry?
Oh, there's a question. So I remember before coming across this understanding, I had spent my whole life trying to fit the idea of what Stef should be. Stef should be married, he should have children, he should have ideally a business, he should be successful, and if all that happened, then Stef would be happy. And I, to a certain extent, though I had a great deal of anxiety and depression and whatever, I've got stories, for my whole life to explain how I was. But I arrived at some point, maybe about 10 years ago, where it looked like I had everything that I'd always wanted. And it felt like everything I'd always wanted had come to me because I managed to control things. I managed to be able to get the right job, get the right, sort of marriage, get the right band, because I'm a musician as well. So, but it was really hard work trying to make sure that everything in my life was as it should be, as I imagined it should be, in order for me to be okay. Really hard work. And so when, you know, when everything kind of collapsed, you know, my marriage ended, I became a single dad, and I lost my house, and lots of other things that happened around that time. It seemed to me that there was no future. When I looked at the future, I was just so afraid that things would never be as good again, that life from then on would be a nightmare, and it would be just a question of coping. You know, at the time I was like chronic depressive, I had suicidal ideation. So it seemed to make sense to me that I needed to look into the future. I needed to be prepared for whatever life was going to throw at me in order for me to be okay. And what I didn't understand was that I'm sure this isn't just me. I'm sure this is not just me. But what my mind would do is it would latch on to something like, okay, how am I going to earn a living now? You know, I'm a single dad. I have my father to look after. I can't work full time. What am I going to do? And then on that thought, I had so many other layers of thought. You know, what does this mean about me? You've never been successful, really. It's always been, hand to mouth. I had lots and lots and lots of self-criticism in with that original thought. But inevitably, what seems to happen to me is my mind, in an attempt to prepare myself, would always go to the worst case scenario. So for me, I kind of thought, well, I'm going to be homeless. You know, what's it going to be like to be homeless? How am I going to eat? What am I going to do? And I think that what we do is our mind naturally tries to protect ourselves. It naturally tries to control things. But by going into the future, we imagine a future that's worst case scenario. And because we feel our thinking, that worst case scenario comes alive in us now as a feeling. Because we feel our thinking, whatever we're thinking about will create a feeling in us. And most often, the worried feelings don't feel so good.
That's why I love talking to you, Stef. Like I think over the past years, I've heard that and read that 1,000 times. But I think I just heard it fresh again just now. And what I heard was, I make up a very scary future because of my worries and those dark thoughts. And I've had suicidal ideation a lot. And I get that. And thank you for sharing so openly. I really respect you for that. What I heard fresh was how when you did this, and it's like how the feeling comes alive in us now, even though our thoughts are of the future, but the feeling is very present. And I see how if we don't know the thought feeling connection, it really does feel like the world is going to end, or our world is going to end, and I'm going to be
Yeah,
homeless, and I'm a
yeah,
loser, and it's really terrible. And it's so fast too. It's almost another really powerful thing I heard before was how sometimes we feel our thinking before we even see it. And
heard
that
that.
helped me,
Yeah,
because I always
yeah,
thought, okay, I need to see it and then I'm going to feel it. Like, no, sometimes you even feel it before
yeah,
it floats across the screen.
yeah.
And I had this really insecure moment, and I was talking to Jasmine, which is a colleague and fellow classmate. Um, and I was just sharing with her, like, I look at the things I want and I don't have, and I make I feel really crappy about it, because like, oh, like, you don't have that because, you're not successful in the car, the house, whatever. And she said, like, you'll probably get it. It's just not happening right now. And I was like, oh yeah. And then she went deeper and
Yeah.
said, like, oh yeah, duh. And then she said, and then she said to me, um, just because you don't have it doesn't mean anything about you, but you create meaning from that insecurity, and then you use that meaning to judge ourselves. And there's something in that in what you said that I'd love for you to speak more to, which is, you didn't say it, but it felt like it. Like, there's judgment in worry and insecurity, and it's usually about ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So again, this is how it looks to me. This is my experience, is that when I am in a low mood, or I have some low quality thinking, then my mind automatically goes to whatever happens. I'll see it as bad for a start, because those are the goggles I'm looking through. But then the very next thought is, so what does that mean about me? And then I'll go right down the rabbit hole of, oh, you're always lazy, you've always been rubbish, and you've always not been able to speak to people. I can go through all the layers of conditioning that I've had in my life. All my habitual thinking arrives at that moment, and I can have conversations with myself where I can be so critical. I would say things to myself I wouldn't even dream of saying to my worst enemy. But but so here's the thing. Here's how it looks to me.
Mm.
Is that you talked about, understanding the thought feeling connection. That's one thing, understanding that we are creating our reality moment by moment based on what we think looks true to us. So I can think that I'm this idiot, that always screws up. As long as I hang on to it, as long as I kind of hold it close to me and weigh it down and make it even more significant. I think what I've learned is that to recognize at some point, maybe not straight away, But at some point, I learned to recognize the feeling of that. The feeling of disconnection, the feeling of discomfort, sadness, recrimination, anger, whatever. I've learned to recognize that feeling. And at some point, I realized that I don't have to hang on to it. I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to try and fix it. If I try and fix it, then I'm doing this even more. You know, I'm making it look even more real.
That's such a powerful insight. And it's so, it really does take a slowing down to see it, you know, because like logically, my personal thinking or logical thinking, like, well, if I think I'm a piece of shit, well, obviously I have to go out and work harder so I don't have to be a piece of shit. And I think the premise is that I was never a piece of shit to begin with. I only thought I was.
Exactly.
And yeah.
That's perfect. That's a brilliant way of describing it. And the reason that happens is that when we're in that kind of quality of thinking, we only have eyes for what we're bad at. We only see the one thing out of 100 that we got wrong. You know, our thinking justifies every bad feeling that we have about ourselves when we're in that space.
It's so funny. What I flashed across my eyes was I think there's a metaphor in there somewhere of having like, I think you have like the worst pair of eyes you could have on right now. And that's why everything looks like shit. I remember I was feeling super insecure one day. It was just one of those days, and I had to go to this meeting with a school for my taekwondo business to set up a taekwondo an elite athlete development. It was a program for a private international school to develop potentially Olympic taekwondo athletes for the future. And I went in with my one of my business partners, and she's a top trainer in her state province. And I went in there and I did my thing, and, you know, with conversation and dressed nice, and the conversation was great and everything worked out. And the whole time I'm like, Nikon's a piece of shit because like I'm not good enough, blah, blah. And I'm sitting in her car, and I said, her name's May, like, May, can I share with you? Like, I just feel not good enough. And like, I don't know what I'm doing. And she gave me one of those looks like, were you not in the same meeting with me where you totally kicked it out of the park, and like they love us now, and now we have a new client and we get to live out our dreams of developing elite level athletes. And it's so true what you said. When I'm really in that low state of thinking and mood, everything looks like shit. Like, you know, and I think that's so interesting because it's not just a mindset, it's a whole reality. It's the illusion that everything looks terrible, and it looks so real. And what I think what both amused me is that even though like I get this, it still happens. You know what I mean? Like I still take the bait of it almost every single time. And I think there's something there of the closest analogy I can think of, like, okay, I get gravity. It doesn't mean I'm not going to fall down when I trip on something.
Yeah. I mean, me too.
Yeah.
And everybody I know. I think there's a difference now. The very, very little glimpse I see of what Cybichowski talked about in the 3 principles allows me to, whereas once I would get really depressed, you know, and really worried and fearful about the future, I get so lost. I can still get depressed. But I have a different relationship to it now. So I think 𝗷𝗆𝗃𝗁𝒃𝒃 says, you know, I can still have the feeling, but it doesn't have me.
Oh, that's quotable. I can have the feeling, but the feeling doesn't have me. It reminds me of Eckhart Tolle quote of, if, or even a Michael Neill quote, like, if you know you're drunk, you're not that drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a Michael.
Yeah, it sounds like a Michael. Actually,
Yeah.
what you're pointing to, something I'd love to emphasize is, what's beyond worry? It's like, what is on offer for us when we can really get and understand that we can have feelings. I can have suicidal ideation. I can be depressed. I can think I am not the best human in the world right now. And there's a sense of deep knowing in me. Yeah, but there's something beyond this.
Yeah.
What do you think or make of that?
That's a beautiful way to describe it. So when I was in my, you know, worst depressive phases, I did not know that even then I was not alone.
Mm.
Even then I was being guided. Even then there was a part of me, part of life, that was trying to bring me back into equilibrium, into stability, back to a natural, free state of mind.
Mm.
So in those days, I wouldn't appreciate that. So all I would see was my depression. If you'd have asked me, I would have said, I'm depressed 24 hours a day. I'm depressed when I'm asleep. You know?
I'm the depressed guy. Don't you know? Like, do you know who you're talking
Exactly. Yeah,
to?
exactly. I'm famous for it. And I think looking back on it now, I can see that there were times when I was really, really low. But there were times when I was okay. There were times when, you know, I did feel, I don't know, I did smile and I did laugh at a joke. And once once I was distracted from my depression for a second, I was brought back to this place. And this is how it looks to me. The depression and the suicidal ideation seemed to me to be a combination of what we were talking about, looking back into the past, seeing everything that we've ever done wrong, criticizing and judging ourselves for that, and then worried about what the future was going to hold, like imagining with 3D technicolor, you know, sort of reality, exactly what my demise was going to be. I was feeling that. The moments where I felt engaged, where I felt, I probably wouldn't go as far as inspired, but the moments where I felt myself happened when I wasn't thinking about the future or the past. Happened when I was very much here in the moment, experiencing what was going on without paying attention to the noise in my head. And I'll quote Jamie Smart on this. He basically says something that makes a lot of sense to me. He said, through thousands of years of human evolution, we are designed to be perfectly capable, resilient, and creative, and we have the potential to overcome anything and create anything in this moment. We're designed for this moment. This is what we're designed for. We aren't designed to try and figure out stuff in the future. We're not designed to try and figure out stuff that happened in the past that might be of help to us now. So there's a deeper dimension beyond worry, a deeper dimension, which is who we are, which does not come and go. It's a pure essence of love and everything, all the aspects that are included in that space. So when we touch that space, which we do in this present moment, we can have access to kindness and compassion, creativity and inspiration and joy and passion, all the really, really cool stuff that represents, that's who we are. That never ever comes and goes. What comes and goes is the noise. It's thought. Thought is transient. Thought is ephemeral. It's energy, and energy just comes and goes. It may change form depending on what we grab and make look real to us. But that always comes and goes. What stays is that deeper part of ourself. That untapped potential for genius that lives in all of us.
That was beautiful. What I saw in that was, I love how the parts that you were talking about that stay are also part of the design. And I see that now. I didn't really see it before, but now I see it as the kindness of the design. Design meaning of how we're made and how we're built. And I think I just saw that fresh of how like the worry and the fear and the frustration, like those are transient. But what we are made of stays. I think for myself, I think for me, that's definitely how I've learned to, I guess, I tell my clients all the time, there's not much to do, but there's everything to see. And, you can see beyond. I think that's what I mean now. I would say it, but I didn't really get what I meant when I was saying it. But now I think I do when I say, if you can just see beyond this, you'll see it. And if I'm completely honest, it's almost like blessing people with the three principles, like, okay, the mind, the spirit, the mind, the thought, the consciousness, good luck, and now it's like, okay, I'm pointing to who you are before and beyond worry. Like that's what I'm really pointing to when I say, like, if you can just see beyond this, you'll touch it. And it's like the image that comes to mind is like blindfolding someone, and you tell them to just keep walking that way. As long as you're walking the right direction, you're gonna hit something, but that something's gonna be really good. That's I was working with a client, and she had a beautiful premise, and I told her I could. She told me I could share it. Could I ask her permission? It was, she had this premise that she thought that when she worried, it was about relationship, and she said that when she saw that when she worries, she thinks her relationship is unwell and that she needs to fix it, and she needs to jump into action to try and control it and manage it. And she saw that worry doesn't mean her relationship is unwell. It just means she's overthinking it.
Yeah. It
And
just means in that moment, the principle of thought, whatever thinking that she's having in that moment, looks real to her. You know, she has a perception that looks real to her. And as we were saying earlier, if you've got the bloody awful relationship
yeah.
glasses on,
Yeah.
that's all you're going to see.
Yeah, that's all
That's all
you're gonna see. That's all you're gonna see. And
it's
yeah.
not, never objective truth.
One of the things I've been saying to clients lately, and I'm the back of my mind is like, I wonder how far you can get, like, wonder how long you can get away with this. And when they tell me like the scary future they have in their minds, I tell them, you know, for your own sake, I hope you're wrong. I honestly do, because if you're right, you're screwed. Like, they're really, if you're right about this, like, you're really screwed, and you should just, you know, give it up. Right? And they kind of look at me like, what do you mean give it up? And I'm like, yeah, but if you're wrong, wow, there's opportunity in being wrong here. You know, you won't hear it anywhere else. And
Yeah.
I find more and more every day, especially being on this journey, just how wrong I am about my reality.
Yeah. Just how little we can trust our thinking.
Yeah, my big insight lately was I think because of the nature of our work of connecting with people and giving value and creating insights and conversations, I find myself in rooms with a lot of um, older people who have a lot more life on than me and who are a lot more successful and make way more money. But because I'm in the same room, I have this premise of needing to be at their level. And then I think somewhere along as I realized, like, oh wait, but they have 15 years on me. Like, of course, you know, I need to calm down, because I would look at them like, oh, I don't belong here, or I'm not good enough because I don't have. And now I see that as worry. That's not really. I see it now because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can be worried and insecure about this. Not helpful, but like, okay, I can have the feeling. The feeling doesn't have me. And
There you go.
yeah,
There you go.
and there's another metaphor in there somewhere about, oh yeah, when I was playing taekwondo, and I remember overthinking trying to perform and do well so much, and it got to a point where I was just tired of overthinking a sport that I really loved. And the moment I gave it up, that's the thing,
Yeah.
like, I wasn't trying to go beyond my thing, I just gave it up. And then I started to
Yeah.
play better, much better, because I was so much enjoying the sport. And
Yeah.
it used to piss me off so much, but now I get it, because I would talk to Olympians and world champions. I'm like, okay, what's your secret? And they would look like they didn't really have much on it. They weren't really thinking about it. They just really, really, really loved the sport they were playing, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, love the sport and not think about it. But I didn't see it that they just weren't taking their insecurities that seriously in the moment. Like, they were so present. And
You
that,
know what I'm hearing in that is exactly that presence is they are living in the moment. You know, that flow state is being engaged in life in this moment, in allowing life to create through us rather than us trying to figure it out. That present state goes back to that, you know, that dimension of love, that dimension of everything that brings us joy and inspiration and hope. All those come with a feeling. All those come with a feeling. And for me, that is the key to knowing when I'm on track and when I'm off track. When I'm off track and I have worry and I have regret and I have self-recrimination, that comes with a feeling. And that's the kindness of design. The kindness of the design is saying, when you're feeling like that, I heard Mavis can't do this. She said, when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you're feeling low, It's life. It doesn't mean anything about what's going on. It's life putting its arm around your shoulder and saying, shh, shh, come back.
You've had too much to drink, mate. Like
Yeah.
let's go
Yeah.
home. Like the
Yeah.
show's over.
Exactly. Yeah. So life is, that's the kindness of the design, is it's kind of the warning system to say, you know, you're making yourself suffer. You can come home now.
I love that. And I think what I saw fresh in that moment is, or what I'm seeing is, you know, beyond worry is life. And beyond worry is engaging in life. And the moment, the instant, the micro millisecond instant you engage in life, you open yourself up to all the good things that have always been there. And I think me too. I think, you know, it's been on this journey for a while, but I think just very, very recently, I'm beginning to really learn how to not to see more of how I haven't really been trusting life. Like I'm like, okay, all this, you know, this stuff is pretty cool, but you know, 𝗔𝗯𝐺𝗂𝗁𝗃 intellect needs to secretly run the show because we don't really trust life. And I tell this story a lot because this story changed my life, and I always tell this story now because it's my favorite story. It's again about relationships. My friend was kind of having a lot of difficulty in her relationships, and then she's very insightful. She came to this conclusion. She said, I either have to break up with this guy or trust him. I can't half trust this person. And then it was clear to her that it wasn't how much do you trust him? It was a yes or no question. And that was very new to me, of like, I always thought like, okay, how much do you trust life? Right. And like now it's not a how much, it's a yes or no question. And what happened was when she made that decision, or it was the obvious decision to trust this person, her whole relationship changed. Like he became a different person. Like he was like, you come like he bought me flowers. And I'm like, who is this person? And what I saw was like, oh, that's because you're not pushing up against anything. You're not looking for things to not trust. You're trusting. And then so I saw this happen. I was like, oh, you're still trying to push life around because you think that's what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm, you know, that the beyond worry thing is a really cool way of looking at it. Because when we understand where worry comes from, we begin to see that the illusory nature of it. We begin to see we don't have to expend so much energy trying to fix it, that it will eventually dissolve. And when it does, we come back to our true nature. We come back to our natural space, and there we've got everything we need. What I loved about that story about your friend is that she had a story,
right,
about what her partner was like, and that story, she you know, the relationship she had with him was through that story.
Yeah.
And when she managed to drop that story, when she saw it for what it was, then she was able to connect with him on a deeper level.
Right. And the way she described it is this person expanded. His love for her expanded because she made all the room. And I think question for myself is, you know, it's 𝗔𝗯𝐺𝗂𝗁𝗃, it's not how much do you trust life, it's do you trust life? And I said this to a client, but now I'm saying it to myself, like 𝗔𝗯𝐺𝗂𝗁𝗃, if you trust life, you have nothing to worry about. If you don't trust life, you have everything to worry about, and rightly so, because you don't trust it, you know.
Yeah. If we don't trust life, then we're back to it all being on us. We're
Mm.
back to having to control everything in order for us to be okay.
Of course, because if life's on you, it's up to you for the sun to rise and the moon and and set and the moon and the stars
Absolutely.
and it's
And we
like
have
that.
to
Yeah.
control everybody outside of us so that
Every ever.
we,
Yeah.
it's yeah, we have to control everything, but it's bloody exhausting.
Oh yeah, it is. I think what's on offer in this conversation is to see that there's so much beyond worry and control and doubt and fear. And it's not like some distant personal development journey. It's literally one thought away. And I always heard that and I was like okay, that's cute. But now I'm like, oh no, really, it is just one thought away. Now I'm seeing it first. It's so it is so close. And I really get now when people say like, your dreams are a lot closer than you think.
I don't know if this is true,
Mm.
but it feels true to me that life is giving us constant invitations to see beyond worry, to see beyond fear. And once we do get a glimpse of what's true, then life changes. We grow, we evolve. We have a different experience of life, and everybody has a different experience of life. So it's an invitation from life. I love that it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake.
I want to write my copy or my copywriting titles like that for my programs. Like, this is an invitation from life to go beyond yourself.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool. So we're coming up on time. So I have two questions, but I'll ask you the first one first. Is for everybody listening, like, what would you like to give if you could give a gift to people and leave them with a thought or an insight or an idea? What would you love to give to them?
I would say it makes less sense to me to, in life, focus on the things that come and go. It makes more sense to me to understand and rely on what doesn't come and go. That deeper part of us, that deeper dimension of love, compassion, understanding. There's the formless spiritual part of us. Everything in form comes and goes, including thought. But the part of us that remains is what I feel, if that's where our heart is, and that's what we should honor and always come back to.
I love that.
As Sid would say, love is always the answer, and that love is the space that we're talking about. That's who we are in essence.
I just
realized, we do anything from that place. It has to be beautiful.
I saw that. I think unknowingly we honor our fears and our doubts and our worries a lot more than they deserve credit for. And the moment we see that and we can honor love and courage and well-being, gosh, your life will take off because it was always meant to. thrive. Like you were born to thrive. Cool. Second question. Where can people connect with you or hang out with you or spend time with you and
Okay.
and get a and do better in their lives and their relationships and their businesses and get more in touch with this space that you're pointing to?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So I'm very close to launching a website, which is, I know, it's unheard of. It's I'm that close. So I reckon within a week or so, you'll be able to find me on 𝗷𝗆𝗀𝗋𝗇𝗔𝗀𝗋.co.uk.
I want to make a video testimonial for it.
Yeah, please. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
I'll make the best one ever.
You will. You'll be on the homepage once I've worked out how to do it.
Okay, deal.
Bless you.
Yeah, so everybody, from the bottom of my heart, please go spend time with Stef, and your life will be better. You'll discover things about yourself and your world that are beyond imagination. And Stef's your man, whether it's business or life or just your own personal and professional development. Stef's right up there. He's the man.
You're amazing. I love you so much, Nicole.
I love you too. And I was talking to other people too. I was like, what, of all the Supercoach academy, like I joined the one where Stef was a mentor. Like, like that's not life. I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Right.
And thank you for what you bring to the world. I know people who are delighted and transformed by your presence.
Thank you.
I am in awe of that, my friend.
Thank you. I honor and accept that, and I have great teachers. Thank you. All right, Stef, I'll see you later.